order, and is Reverend Mark Woodka here? No? Peasy, you want to lead us in invocation?
Sure.
All right. And Commissioner Willis, would you lead us in the pledge?
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for us all being here safely, and Lord, give us the wisdom to do what is right, Lord. And we thank you that that you've given us this day, Lord. And thank you for the people that came to voice their concerns as well. And bless this session. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done, Vice Mayor. Like putting you in the hot seat. Roll call, City Clerk.
Commissioner Hutcherson?
Here.
Commissioner Willis?
Here.
Commissioner Williams? Vice Mayor Peasy?
Here.
Mayor Mallon?
Here. All right, we'll start with a presentation on Mission Space Coast, One Voice, One Brand, and we've got Angela Neal here, Director of Special Projects from the EDC. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here today. Did I send the card? Lori, did I send slides to you guys? No? Okay.
No.
All right, so I'm here today to speak about Mission Space Coast, One Voice, One Brand. That's a collaboration between the Economic Development Commission of Florida Space Coast and the Space Coast Office of Tourism. And the goal of this initiative is to create a unified brand for Brevard County. And currently, a lot of our brands are desperate. But whenever you look at the different municipalities, the different business professional organizations, the nonprofits, it's just very hard to understand who we are and the assets that we have in Brevard County. And so what we're looking to do is tell our story through one brand. This isn't going to be an economic development brand. This isn't a tourism office brand. It's not the Brevard County brand. It's something that's completely new and unique. And so when you think about this brand, you can think about things like I Love New York or Keep Austin Weird. These are brands that have been around for decades and really transformed those communities. And that's what we're looking to do with this brand for Brevard County. And so the number one, or I guess the three goals that we have with this brand are business development and retention. And so we want to keep the businesses that are really making this area flourish. And we want to make sure that we keep attracting those types of businesses as well for this community. In addition, it's for talent attraction, because if we don't have the people that can work in these areas, then we're not going to be able to attract those businesses. And then the last one is tourism attraction as well. We want to attract the right types of tourists to this area. And so we've gone through this initiative with the frame of mind that we want to do all these things in a responsible manner. And when I say that, we want to make sure that we're attracting the right types of audience and the right types of people that are going to respect the area the same way that we respect the area as citizens. And so I wanted to come out, and I'm speaking to all of the different municipalities throughout Brevard County to let you guys know about the process, about the initiative, ways to get involved, and how you can get your feedback as a community. So far, we've had an internal Brevard County phase one where we collected data from Brevard County. We had 40 community conversations and reached over 800 people through that. Then we had focus groups and had 73 people, and Mayor Malik, you had an opportunity to be part of one of the focus groups. And then we also had a broad survey where we had 755 completed surveys through that. And then we looked outside Brevard County because we wanted to know, what do people know about us outside of the county? And we collected additional data across the United States, in addition to 2 areas where we did focus groups, which was Houston, Texas, and Raleigh, North Carolina. So now we're at the data visualization phase, the fun part, also probably the hard part, because we're taking all that information and we're going to visualize it, and this is actually what we'll end up using. So it's more than a logo and tagline. It's going to be the story that we're telling to the world about who we are as Brevard County. And so there will be opportunities to get involved. Right now we have something kind of fun, and this can be open for the community as well as, of course, any of the council members, is we have a photo contest where you can share, if you're taking photos out in the community, you can share photos and have them displayed on a postcard that's helping to promote this initiative, or you can have them on our social media sites and websites as we're promoting and as we're trying to raise awareness about the community. And so I have some samples of the postcards which you guys can take at the entrance as well. Other things we're gonna do are pop-up focus groups. So as we're starting to develop the brand, we're gonna bring in the community to give feedback, just as touch points, to make sure that we're on the right track. Throughout this whole process, we do have a reporting board as well. There are 25 people on the reporting board. We have all 4 chambers of commerce. We have the Space Coast Black Chamber of Commerce. We have the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We also have Frank Abate from Brevard County. And so we have really good representation between municipalities, between the business environment, the different professional organizations, and also business leadership here. And so we also have transparency. So you guys can follow along with this initiative at any time by visiting our website, and that's spacecoastedc.org/Mission Space Coast. And so those are just some ways that you can follow along. You can request me to come out and speak, and I'll have actual slides for those presentations or handouts. Opportunities to reach out if you want to be part of those pop-up focus groups. If you want to have your voice heard, you can be part of that. Just reach out to us. We haven't turned anybody away, and so we just really want to encourage you guys to be involved. We want to get this right the first time. We want it to be something that you feel like really resonates with you and you can use side by side with not only your municipality brand, but with your business brand. And if you're a resident, we hope that one day you'll wear it as a t-shirt. So thank you guys for giving me the time to speak today about this initiative. It's extremely important for the community and just really grateful to be part of it. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
I would like some information on how to get a hold of you to keep in correspondence.
Yes, so if you Mission Space Coast at spacecoastedc.org. And then also on the Space Coast EDC website, there's a Mission Space Coast. You can look under the home page. There's a tab on there where there's a landing page, and you has all of our contact information there as well.
Do you have a business card, by the way?
I do. I have business cards. I'll put my business card at the entrance as well, so anybody can pick it up, and I'm happy to help anybody that needs one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thanks, Ms. Neal. Great presentation, and kudos to the EDC. If it wasn't for your efforts, our area would be facing a much more significant economic headwind than we're seeing. You guys really led the way.
Thank you. Very grateful to work with Linda, her vision. Well, thank you again for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you much. All right. Mr. Williams?
I have a question on the agenda.
Okay. We are about to approve it, but go ahead.
Yeah, on the approval of the agenda, Lori, there was a late breaker that came on the agenda. It met the 9 o'clock
Yes.
this morning deadline per our policy.
Yes, sir.
When did you receive that agenda item?
Around 8 o'clock this morning.
8 o'clock this morning. And Mayor, did they run that by you to approve putting it on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll ask the city manager, we were given in emails multiple times that nothing goes on the agenda unless we get it to you the Tuesday before the week of the meeting.
That is correct. That's our normal process. But again, we also have the other policy where if it's something that you feel that needs to be brought up, I've tried to bring those to you, and I've added a couple in the last few weeks. This one happened to be after we had already published it. The others actually happened after Tuesday, but we were able to put it on the agenda prior to a Friday when we send out the package. So
Okay,
I've
so-
tried to accommodate as best I
So
could quickly.
who makes the decision as to whether an item that I think of Thursday night at midnight, Wednesday night at midnight, and I email Lori and ask her to be put on the agenda by 9 o'clock the next morning, who makes that decision?
So email was to me, and I forwarded it then to Lori and asked her to put on the agenda. So as long as I've been made aware of it, I will add it to the agenda so that you all can discuss it.
So a commissioner can do that.
Yes, sir.
That was the way we used to run business.
Yes, sir. The only thing I would like is enough information to be able to provide some kind of data, if that's what you're asking us to do, or if you've spoken to the city attorney, I'll ask you that also, sometimes in an email. Just something to put on the memo. That's usually all we're asking for is how do we provide that same general information to all of you? That's all I would ask. And most of the time, you're going to get that to me in an email. I'll be glad to put that on the agenda.
Because I thought that it sounded like by those multiple emails, like nothing goes on the agenda unless we hear about it before the Tuesday, before the Friday, the agenda comes out before the Thursday meeting.
That is staff's deadline for sure.
But you
Again,
said that to us multiple times, so
We have.
I thought that you were trying to tell us we had to abide by that.
no, sir.
So what we're saying is we're going back to the old way we did business, where if something comes up that we, as any commissioner, feels is urgent, that we can bring it forward and it'll get approved to be put on the agenda.
Most definitely. I don't have an issue with that.
Is that good with you, Mayor?
Yep.
Okay.
So need a motion for the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Public comments. Laura Brown.
Hello, my name's Laura Bowen, and
Sorry.
no, you're perfectly fine, Mr. Mayor. And I represent USTA Florida, and we are based at 12,000 Performance Drive in Orlando, Florida. And we operate the Racket Club of Cocoa Beach next door. The main purpose of me being here today is so you can actually put a face to the name, because I don't think I've come before this commission before. And I also just wanted to share with you, for the record, our desire to renew our agreement to manage the tennis center, and hope that that will be put on a future agenda for discussion by this group. A couple highlights that I wanted to share with you about our operations at the tennis center, which bring me great joy, is that to date, we've really expanded the programs in play that are offered at the tennis center. We have a wonderful teaching pro who works there, John Sanders. And over the time, we've actually invested over $170,000 in the tennis center. That's our net operating loss to run the programs and make sure that they continue. We're happy to do that. And we also have a great relationship with Mr. Caragino and also Mr. McLean. And recently, we met with them to discuss repairs to the front 6 courts, which have had significant flooding damage over the course of the last few years and also were impacted by the hurricane. So our foundation has committed $200,000 toward the repair of those courts, and I sent a letter to Mr. Caragino on Tuesday to that effect. So we'll continue to work with him to do the repairs on the courts, and I'm just happy to come back and provide any information or answer any questions that you have at any time, and I thank you for giving me some time today.
Thank you.
And I have that letter. I will actually, as part of my report, so I can send that out to each of you. I was just going to mention it tonight. Again, appreciate the funding. We'll still have some other courts to work on later, but I'll send that out to you all.
Ms. Scott?
Good evening. I wanted to reach out also about the initiative for Mission Space Coast that started last fall to brand Brevard County. And it kind of reminded me of when Skip Beeler was mayor, and there was an initiative to rename the Barrier Island. I don't know if you all remember that, but it was quite hilarious the way it went around and ended up in Cocoa Beach and Cape Canaveral. And there was quite a pushback. People that live here like the names that they have, and they did not want to be called Ponce de Leon. So previous to that, there was an initiative to rename the Bee Line to Beach Line. I think if you took a poll in this room, everybody here still calls it the Bee Line. And it's very expensive to change maps and names and all of these things. And I also find it interesting all the time about how the non-elected, not representative people make all these changes that we're supposed to like in our community. But, you know, it's a new day. So I would also like to ask the attorney or whatever, and city manager to provide some more information when committees are formed about which committees are in the sunshine, like the City Hall Committee. They should not have been in the sunshine, in my opinion, but many of them believed they should have been. They met 3 or 4 times. They weren't a city board or committee in our charter. So if they're not making decisions according to the state statute, I don't think you have to be in sunshine, but that's only my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Greg Martin?
Hello, everybody. Good to see you. My name is Greg Martin. I'm a retired U.S. Army Major General. I've lived here in Cocoa Beach for 7 years, right across the golf course, and I love it here. And what I want to talk to you about is this is World Mental Health Awareness Month. Let me ask you a question. What percent of the people in America and in the world do you think are afflicted with some type of mental illness right now? What do you think it is? 100%. Okay, so 100 is actually a pretty interesting number. So 20% are afflicted with some sort of mental illness. 20%, 1 in 5 people on the planet, which means that the other 80% are somehow affected by mental illness, either as a family member, a friend, a work colleague, whatever. So, I mean, it touches everybody. I myself have bipolar disorder. I've been living with it since 2003. My genetic predisposition was triggered in the Iraq War when I was leading thousands of soldiers in combat. And for the next 11 years, it was unknown, undiagnosed, untreated, etc. And so I was a senior officer in the U.S. military with bipolar disorder that got worse and worse and worse. Higher highs, lower lows, until finally I became so disruptive, out of control, literally insane, that my boss, who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, called me in and said, "You either resign or I'm going to fire you." So I basically resigned, which is a smart thing to do because otherwise you lose money in your retirement and everything else. And then I was forced to retire, later hospitalized, and have been on a journey of recovery for the past 7 years. A big part of which has been the warm, sunny climate in Cocoa Beach. So what's the bottom line with mental illness, mental health? It's physical. It is not something that's made up in people's mind. It's not a lack of character or a lack of willpower. It's just as biological as diabetes, cancer, heart disease. Left untreated, it can lead to loss of career, loss of marriage, family, all kinds of bad things. Most people, a lot of people with mental illness who aren't treated properly end up homeless, addicted, in jail, murdered, dying of some natural cause, or dying of suicide. But if treated properly with the right medication and the right steps in life, you can live a healthy, happy, successful life. And I am an example of that. In fact, I call myself a proud, grateful, bipolar survivor and thriver, because I'm stronger now than I've ever been. So what's the so what? Why am I even telling you this? Because a little bit of knowledge can go a long way and save your life or the life of someone you love. That's it?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Finish.
My story, if you're interested more in my story, I've got a bunch of articles and talks. It's on my website, www.generalgregmartin.com. I've written a book that is actually going to be in print on the street in September. And if anybody is interested, I'd be happy to talk to your organization, your church group, Rotary, what have you, to kind of spread the word about mental health. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Can I ask the general a question? Sorry. First of all, General Martin, thank you so much for your service. And, hopefully through all that your upper commanders were making sure at least you're making the right decisions for your troops while you were battling that. So you mentioned different ways to treat, like your particular situation, bipolar disorder, you said lifestyle, medications, whatever. So I know there's HIPAA laws and stuff, and I really shouldn't be asking you, but so how did it actually go in your case?
As far as the treatment?
Yes.
So here's the interesting thing. Bipolar disorder, I was in a state of high-performing mania for several years where the bipolar actually enhanced my performance, giving me extra energy, drive, creativity, problem-solving abilities. But then I started getting higher highs, lower lows. Told you I got basically fired. And then when I fell into deep depression, and then I knew there was something wrong with me. Went to the military doctors, got a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, but it took about 2 years where I was in really bad depression with psychosis, which are hallucinations and delusions. So I had 2 years of what I call bipolar hell, which was awful, until finally I got on the right medication, got my brain chemistry right, got with a therapist who helps you understand what's going on and to solve problems before they become a problem. And then the third kind of leg of this is healthful living, good, healthy diet, exercise, plenty of sleep, low stress. And then the final step, I think, of the road to recovery, for me, I call it the 5 Ps. First P is people. Surround yourself, which I've done here, particularly in Cocoa Beach, with fun, interesting, energizing people. Number 2 is place. Cocoa Beach is perfect for somebody with bipolar disorder. Sun, warmth, brightness, ocean. So place, so people, place, then purpose. So my purpose now, my life mission is sharing my bipolar story to help stop the stigma, alleviate suffering, and save lives. So I've got a purpose and a mission that I do every day, and I travel and write articles and books, give talks. And then the fourth thing is perseverance. You have to have the will to win, never give up, because you're gonna get knocked back, you're gonna have setbacks. You gotta get up, keep going, never quit in your recovery. And then finally, this idea I call presence, which is to be able to think about one's own thinking. A lot of times with mental health issues, you think you have a big problem, but in reality, there is no problem. It's all made up inside of your own head. And so the ability to get outside of your head, think about your thinking, and then distinguish what is real, what is true, that is very important. And having a battle buddy, which for me, my closest battle buddy is my wife, Maggie, and then having a therapist to talk through this stuff is the key. So that's kind of the key formula for recovery. And you're never recovered. Like, I will never not have bipolar disorder. It's a continuous journey till the day I die.
So from when you started medication to the state you're in now, have you been able to reduce your medication, or has it stayed the same, or have you had to increase it, or?
It took about 2 years until I finally got the right combination of medicines that actually made a difference inside my brain with biochemistry. And the key medication for me was lithium, which is the gold standard for bipolar disorder. And so since I started the right combination, I've pretty much stabilized. I take that same amount, the same medications, same amount, monitor it continuously every day, every week, meet with a psychiatrist, and you talk about medication, how's it going, should it go up, should it go down. We've made some little adjustments, but it's basically been steady state.
Okay, good. I mean, I was just hoping it wasn't where you had to keep adding more and more, because that's not good for your body.
Right, thankfully not.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for answering my questions.
You're welcome, thank you.
And thank you again for your service.
Thank you, General.
Yeah, thank you, you're welcome. Thanks, appreciate the invite.
All right. Any other public comments? Staff reports?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Again, mentioned earlier the USTA, so again, the 200,000, we had that on our list. We also have had a request from Roosevelt Elementary. They're requesting that commissioners that are interested, they're going to begin a literacy program. When that program finishes, they would like to invite each of you to come out and possibly read a book or just join the festivities of congratulating those students who meet whatever goal it is that they will establish. and they've asked that our police and fire department also attend that, and just show a good representation of those that are involved in our city, but also that we support the reading program. So I'll extend that to you. I'll send the email that I've received from that school and send that out to each of you for future thought. We have a 11 a.m. mixer here at the Country Club tomorrow. This mixer is for our latest 23 contractor vendors that you approved maybe 3 weeks ago on a listing. Those are the most recent contractors, vendors, and which can do work for the city. We're holding this so that other cities like possibly Satellite Beach or Cape Canaveral can come and meet those same contractors, vendors, and possibly piggyback on our contracts. And then again, reciprocate the same with them if they pick up some additional contractors or vendors. Again, make our ability to move among our community and our local vendors and contractors a little easier. And then in the very near future, we will also be bringing you an RFQ for our CCNA, which is our continuing services for our engineering services, so that we can add to the 2 or 3 companies that we have out there. We just need a larger scope of services or contractors really to provide service and work. So we'll be bringing that to you in the near future. Just a heads up, that's all that is. And I believe that's it tonight. Thank you, Mayor, Commission.
Thank you. City Attorney?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay. City Commission?
Nothing from me.
Commissioner Willis?
I went to the last Port Authority Commission meeting, and just a few stats, just to give everybody an idea. From October to March, they had 470 ships come in with 3.4 million passengers.
Wow.
So they're averaging about 1.7 million passengers every 3 months coming through the port. In that time frame, they also had 10.7 million in revenue for their cargo at 3.5 tons. And just in March, their revenue was 7.2 million from the cruise ships. And from the beginning of fiscal year 23, their revenue's been 98.8 million. So just some stats on that. And I was going to check into that. They were talking about a dredging project off the beach that might reach to a beach at Minuteman. So I
A
thought,
dredging project, Mayor, Commissioner?
it's like a beach dredging project. Yeah, not like
Right.
not it was gonna reach affect all the way to Minuteman.
Like a fill?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
like they've been doing, we did, yeah, but on their
Sand renourishment or replenishment.
yeah, like that, yeah.
Okay.
But I just wanted to bring it to you guys and maybe
Can you
look
tell
into
them
it
to
more.
maybe put some sandbars in for the waves
Yeah.
to break better?
Yeah, I'll tell them that. Yeah, just to make you guys aware, and I was, if you guys wanted me to check more into that, I'll contact their environmental engineer on that. But but that's all I had for comments anyway.
Okay.
And Lori, now that she stated that for public record in the Sunshine, can either she or she send you an email that has that information to send to us? Because I didn't write everything down that you said. About contacting people and all
Oh, if I contact the environmental engineer?
that. No, if you wanted, I thought you were saying maybe we should.
I just said I would if you guys want me to go check into it.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Okay.
Commissioner?
So, I don't know if all you got to watch the planning board meeting?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. So, the scale of that project, I can ask Robin, or I can ask Becky, or I can ask Lori, but I'll ask Robin. Due to the scale of that project, it will end up coming to the commission?
Yes, sir. It exceeds 30,000 square feet, so it will come to you for
Correct,
consideration.
okay. So, and I hope that Mosh, maybe listens to this ahead of time, and I'm sure that Keith, because this is public record. It's not conduiting. You can pass it on to him if he doesn't happen to catch the meeting. But one of the little sticky points was he's not required to have bathrooms. And I can tell you, the people that clean the bathrooms at Shepherd Park wish we didn't have bathrooms at Shepherd Park because they get pretty messy. But if you build a bathroom that has 0 permeable walls and a good drain, you can go in there with you can actually plumb in a pressure hose and wash all the stuff out. You just, put your mask on, face shield, and wash everything out. I mean, Juice and Java even, had people in there that would shoot up, pull that extra blood out, and shoot it all around the bathroom. And Juice and Java, So things happen in bathrooms. But the flip side of that is, if he doesn't have bathrooms, and you got 130 people, let's say the whole place is full, coming off the beach on a Sunday afternoon, that think they did their business and did their urinating in the ocean or wherever, maybe ducked into the beach shack and defecated or whatever they needed to do. If they didn't, and they get to the park, they walk and they, get a little motion going on, in their body, walking across the street and up through the parking garage, and there's no bathroom, then they're gonna like, hey, I don't see anybody. They're gonna go in between cars. And let me finish.
Okay.
And so you urinate, you defecate, the baby needs a diaper change, you throw the diaper there, and everything in those garages, because that's the way they're built, flows downhill. So, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he's going to compete with us in our garage with cost and everything. But if his garage ends up being the one that smells like a portalette, then we're going to win. But
So obviously,
and if you try to wash down the whole parking garage from top to bottom, you got to pay somebody to do that. It takes a lot of water, and guess where it goes? Right into the storm drain, right into the Indian River Lagoon. So I'm trying to telepathically via this meeting, clairvoyantly try to pass a message along. He probably needs to build a couple of bathrooms to save him the portalette smell in his entire garage and having to clean that up in the future.
well, from what I remember from the meeting, he did mention that he would consider the bathrooms. But
he didn't get my
Actually,
dissertation on it.
he did actually say strongly, but he's a smart person, and I'm sure he knows that his thing is going to smell like a porta potty if he doesn't do something about it. Now, it's not up to us to tell him what to do.
I know. I'm not
Unless
trying to
you guys
tell
want
him
to
what
change
do.
the law
I'm
on-
trying to, be telepathic here.
If we change the rules on parking garages and say they must require a bathroom, then, no problem.
Yeah, but we can't, it's like in my business as a project manager. I got requirements, I ink the contract, and the state or NASA changes the law. That contractor and that contract builds to the requirements that they signed up to.
Of course.
When they got their permit.
But what if 10 people want to do it in the future?
Right.
So-
Well, I don't think we need 10 more parking garages in
I don't
downtown
either.
Cocoa Beach.
I'm making a point, though. This is something that maybe we should have addressed before allowing somebody to build a parking garage without a bathroom. It's up to him, and if he's smart, he will build one, and if not, it's his prerogative. So,
I understand that. I'm just trying to, pass on something smart is, however you gotta waterproof the thing, just make it where you can go in there, screw a thing on the wall and spray the whole place down. So, anyway, for the future, I don't want to, hopefully, in my last 3 years of my tenure, I'm gonna have to deal with another parking garage in downtown, that we need a new regulation to say they need bathrooms. I think it's common sense for the person that's building it to put bathrooms in.
I personally don't want to see any more parking garages downtown, but also I'm not going to fight against what we allow. If he
I'm trying to pass on that I think it's a good business decision to put in some
I agree.
bulletproof bathrooms with a drain big enough to, get everything out. I don't think I have anything else, Mayor.
Any more words of wisdom, sir? Okay, Commissioner Hutchison.
I can't possibly follow that, so nothing for me.
All right. Just a couple things. So yeah, I watched that planning board meeting, and just want to remind. I think we need some more education on some of these boards.
I agree.
It's not a free for all. You can't design a building from the dais, and that it was like going sideways. And people were trying to design a building from the dais. None of us are architects. Our resident architect is resigned. I just think there's certain questions that can be asked, certain questions that can't be asked. I think it behooves our city attorney to maybe give some direction to some of our board members.
I'm going to be doing that.
As commissioners, it behooves us to select people that understand some of these rules. I prefer people that are knowledgeable and understanding of these rules rather than just because I went to grade school with them. That to me is not the criteria we should be looking for. That being said, yeah, the parking garage, ideally a bathroom. If you're going to invite that many more people to park, providing them a restroom would be a smart idea. And my other concern was more about ingress and egress onto Minutemen. The known conditions for Minutemen are every month there's a Friday Fest, that road is closed. Those are the conditions that are in existence now. If you build something there, know you're building something that's going to get closed once a month. There's also an art show. There's also special events. So I just want to make sure we capture that in wherever in the permit process. So that, and at some point, I just think we do need an update on what's going on with Becky. I'd ask you for an update on the police chief and that at some point, if we can get that.
Okay, tonight?
Do you have something?
I think,
I think at this point in time, we would say that the process is at its completion. We anticipate having a conclusion to be reached, is what we're hoping for, conclusion in the next week. It could take 2 weeks, but I think within the next week, we should have some type of conclusion.
All right, fair enough.
Thank you for that update.
And lastly, that's it. That's all I had. Thank you much. Moving right along. City Attorney, consent agenda.
okay, this is the consent agenda. Item 1, approve the April 6, 2023 and April 18, 2023 commission meeting minutes. Representative, City Clerk Department, recommendation approved. That's it.
You know, everybody be the first one
Somebody,
I move to approve.
you have a second?
Jinx, you owe me Coke. Second.
they were waiting for her to talk for another 5 minutes.
Yes. One and
All right, we have a
only.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. City Attorney, item J1, unfinished
Yes,
business.
okay, adopt ordinance number 1675 on second reading, public hearing, adoption, an ordinance of the City of Cocoa Beach, amending the City of Cocoa Beach Code of Ordinances by adding a new Article 3, fats, oils, and grease control of Chapter 19 sewage, setting requirements to prevent sanitary sewer blockages, obstructions, and overflows due to fats, oils, and grease, and amending Section 19-5, Schedule of Fees, Rates, and Charges, Sewer, and Section 19-9, Reclaim Water System of both Article 1 in general of Chapter 19 sewage of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cocoa Beach to remove specific fees, rates, and charges, and providing that fees, rates, and charges will be set by resolution of the City Commission, and providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and an effective date. Representative Brad Calzo, Water Reclamation Director, recommendation adopt.
Move to adopt ordinance number 1675 on second reading. And Mayor, this is a roll call vote.
Just a comment on that.
No second, you gotta wait for the second.
Oh, okay.
You have a second? Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
I'm in favor of this as so long as I really don't want to create more fees for the businesses. So as long as we're not charging, I'd be okay with this. And unless a fine would be fine with me in a gross negligence conditions.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? City Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Hutcherson,
Aye.
Commissioner Willis,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Easy,
Aye.
Mayor Melvin.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, item 2, request to revoke the permission granted by the Commission on April 6, 2023 to Beach Trips for a 30-day permit to operate a mobile beach rental business until the business decides the path forward in obtaining a beach license agreement. City Code permits a set number of vendors to operate on the beach. The request to revoke the permit is based on complaints on encroachment and the renting of beach equipment which do not comply with City Code. Item added to the agenda on 5/4/23, Representative Carolyn Wallace, City Commissioner, recommendation revoke permission.
I move to discuss.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to discuss. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so, yeah.
Commissioner, would you like me to have Tanja come up for you could ask questions as you go through this?
Sure, yeah.
Just so she's available to
Yeah,
you?
yeah, no, that
Okay.
makes sense, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm bringing this up because, I've been getting a lot of reports, that made me, really concerned about the operation of this Beach Trips business that we did grant permission to operate without a license, making me really concerned. There's been several complaints from other long-time established beach rental vendors about this business. For example, they've been renting tents that are larger than our code allows, the 10 by 10, and that's with the pictures I passed out to you guys. They've been running that on a regular basis. They've also been stacking up tents.
What is that, 40 feet?
It looks bigger than 10 by 10 for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They've been stacking up tents next to each other with less than 10 feet between them. They also are soliciting tourists on their beach tents and beach rentals on the beach where they're supposed to be a mobile rental business. And in turn, they're encroaching on the areas of the established beach rental businesses, and at times taking their customers as well. They have claimed that they have permission to operate on random areas on the beach from uplander businesses, but like, I don't know, like, for example, in front of the Surf, the new condo building, I don't know who you'd ask to get uplander permission from the condo building.
Tom? Oh, that one.
Yeah, the Surf, the big,
Yeah.
In other places. They've claimed and told other beach rental vendors that they have a license, but they don't. They have a BTR. Also, I was told that they also admitted to having other businesses in the South Florida. So where they claim this was their only stream of income was this Cocoa Beach. So this caused me really great concern because we really stretched ourselves to give them permission to do this without a license, kind of, and it's not very fair to the already established businesses that have been paying thousands of dollars for years to operate their businesses. And
Is it possible that we could allow them to answer some of your concerns to see if any of it is true, or is it just hearsay?
I mean, they're welcome to come up and talk public comment if they want. I mean, that's what we're here for.
I mean, some of it is obvious, but whether or not they have other businesses and this is their only or whatever.
I'm just telling. I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm
Yeah.
just saying what was reported and what they've supposedly told other beach rental vendors. To me, based on this behavior exhibited by this business and with their non-compliance with our code, either because of lack of knowledge, because they don't actually have a license yet, or for blatant disregard, I'm not sure what it is. They have not been good neighbors or cooperative neighbors to our current beach rental businesses. And that's why I'm looking to revoke our permission to operate. It's actually up on Saturday anyway, but I want to also cover the gap from that some Saturday onto the point where in the next meeting, we're going to bring up their contract, right?
Yes.
So I'm looking to revoke our permission for them to operate till they actually have a contract and a license approved by us. With that, if you had anything to add to it, or we can call up the public comment.
I know Commissioner Williams had a comment.
Do you have any public comments on this particular subject
I do.
besides the applicant?
I do.
Well, the only thing I'll say is when we went through all this beach rental stuff over, you were here for a lot of those years, and there was X amount, and then they had to have the upland owners' permission, and then we increased it to a few more vendors, and I got a flurry of emails from all those vendors on those subjects. Did you also? So I'm kind of concerned that, I'm hearing that there's all these beach vendors have issues, but nobody's called me or emailed me or reached out to me on it. Maybe some of them are here to give public comment, but I'm not.
They're here.
I'd like to hear public comment, and then I would like to rebuttal.
Okay, I'm happy to entertain public comment. My only thought is, Commissioner Williams, as you said, we really spent a lot of time crafting these areas because we didn't want to over-commercialize the beach. We wanted to have just a few sections where this was allowed. I mean, it's bad enough that we have so many Airbnbs in our town. We don't need a beach vendor on every corner either. But that being said, I'm happy to hear from public comment. Mr. Walsh?
I'd like to go third.
Okay. Well, there's only two, so.
Okay, second, my bad.
Angela Cobb? All right.
My name is Angela Cobb. I've been in the beach rental business for 15 plus years. I've been asked to manage Coconuts 5 years ago. To my knowledge, you guys only give out, so many licenses a year. It's a very coveted thing. We call it grandfathered in. So I was working a few months ago, and I noticed these people setting up next to me. I was like, what are you guys doing? You know, or do you have a license for this? Oh yeah, we have a license. I said, well, what kind of license? They said, you know, we're a mobile thing. Like people apply on, you know, get it online, and then we come out and set up their tent. I said, oh, that's cool. I had that idea years ago, but you know, it doesn't really bring in a lot of money, so I didn't do it. So I was like, okay, cool. They're not really a threat. So a few weeks later, this guy that's at the beach every day says, hey, Angela, come over here. I need to tell you something. And they're like, you know, we've noticed that this guy brings in like different groups of people throughout the day. I think they're renting the tent out right next to you. And I was like, really? So I started to look and notice that there was different families coming in and out of this ginormous tent every day. So I went up to the families and I said, where did you get this tent from? They go, oh, well, this guy said that he'd give it to us for $100 a day. I said, well, that's funny because that's what I'm trying to do. Like, you know, you're in my area doing that. I've been trying to get a beach rental license for years, so this is not happening on my watch. So I called Robin. Sure enough, they were given the permission to do this, I guess. So a couple weeks later, I saw them again on the other side of me, between First Street North and Coconuts Beach Shack, with a even larger tent. You know, and I'm like, you have to have a 10 by 10, first of all, if you're gonna do this. And second of all, you need a license. And they said they had permission from the Uplander, which was the new Ocean Condos. And that, you know, the city granted them a temporary license or whatever. Personally, I don't care what they do. They just do not need to be around my business or any other beach rental business. Those people that they took $100 from could have potentially be my customers, and I don't appreciate that. I am a single mother as well with a 13-year-old, and I could possibly be starving too. So this is something that I've been doing. It's my career, and I just don't appreciate somebody coming in and taking away from what I've worked really hard for. So.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh?
Yeah, I was just here to say that they've been setting up. James Walsh. Here to say that they've been setting up on the Beach Shack side as well. And even in their pictures on Google, you could see the Beach Shack right in the background, which is our territory, so to speak, on where our beach rental is also located. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner?
Oh, wait. I was just gonna ask if you'd like to know what staffs has done also, just so you can weigh that in, because you had tasked us back in April 6th to go look at the process. So I just wondered if you'd like to, sorry, I have a tickle, if you'd like to have Tanja give you any update as to where we are in the process.
Okay. So, Tanja, do you agree that this is going to come to the commission in the near term?
Yes.
May 18th?
Yes, we're looking to bring everything forward on the 18th. We've been doing our research, looking at all of the provisions that you guys have already set up, as well as what's available out there right now to determine if there is some availability in how we can create or set up a contract with this company.
Okay. So, I would like, if there's going to be.
One thing? Yeah, so I, just to get to the nitty gritty, I thought the condition was that we granted them a temporary with the caveat that they wouldn't be encroaching into existing vendor spaces.
That's where I'm going.
Sorry, just wanted to get it out quick.
Okay. So instead of being as, it's only 2 weeks, instead of, requesting a request to revoke, which would basically put the stake in the sand right now, I would put something that says mandatory compliance with our current rules, which means nothing more than a 10 by 10 tent, all the things that we thought they agreed to begin with, nothing more than a 10 by 10 tent, no tents within 10 feet of other tents, just like everybody else, no encroaching on other businesses, basically a notice to comply, and then we'll see what shakes out on May 18th.
I don't agree with that. I think they've been given a chance, and they obviously don't know the rules or disregarding the rules. So until they actually
I would like
can
to.
sign a contract and learn the rules, I think we should revoke it. And that's where I stand on it. I'm not going to change my mind.
I would like to hear from them to at least rebut the allegations against them, and then I have questions for them.
Hello, my name is Matt Hatcher. I am the owner of Beach Trips. And as far as setting up in everybody else's area, this is my wife, Erin. We actually had a conversation with this lady at the start of March, I believe, when they first started coming around for the season again. And I asked them exactly where their areas were. I told them who we were. We do not have any other businesses anywhere else. I drive Uber outside of our Beach Trips business. Asked where their boundaries were at, and then set up outside of those boundaries. We even had one day where we talked to the upland people at Coconuts. They told us where their boundaries lie and then where we should be setting up. That's what we did. We even went back one other time, and then she had told us that we were in her area. So we actually moved over to where she said their boundary was, even though the Coconuts person had told us differently. We didn't set up after there was one area she continued to kind of harass our customers or question our customers about our business. We didn't feel that was right, because we feel they should have probably contacted us and let our customers enjoy their day. There's really not a whole lot that they could have done about it as well. But I think talking to us could have created some communication between the two of us and maybe gotten a little bit further than where we are. As far as the Beach Shack part, we talked to those employees. We asked where their boundaries ended. They told us it was a dune right to the north of where they're at. The next time that we set up, which was right here, that tent is 11 by 22. So we went into that beach entrance, which is a rental. There's a rental company there on First Street North, which is not on the map. We talked to those guys and asked where their boundaries were. They told us where theirs were. We asked them what we were doing, where we should set up, where would probably be the best way, and they told us exactly that same spot, that spot right there. While I was setting this up, she came down across from her area, across the next rental area, questioned me about our setup, our licensing, our business, continued to pass me up, talk to the rental people there, to try to plot against us, I suppose. That same day, the beach ranger came around, so we had my wife.
She flagged down the beach patrol, came over, we all talked. The beach patrol said she didn't even really know what the rules were on the tent, and so she really didn't feel like she could do anything, and she thought we were fine. So that wasn't good enough, so then she called the police. So when our customer was there enjoying their day, the police came, and a police officer said, I think I got a call, your tent might be too big, but we're not enforcing this law because the laws are just so crazy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of.
So we don't
stack our tents. We've never done that.
We don't stack things together.
We've never solicited anybody on the beach. We know that's a total no-no. We've never taken money on the beach. We have not done any of those things. The only thing is we did have a tent that was too big, and we didn't know. We just did not know.
So this is the first time you ever heard about the tent rule?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was this day?
We set up. We've been up and down Cocoa Beach, and like I said, we've been up and down this beach over the years, and we've seen people are all the time tying tents together. There's large tents all over the place.
Have you set up this tent again after that?
No, we only did it that one time.
So you've never set it?
Actually, I set that same tent up on the Surfing Santas. Right.
That's different. That's an event, I believe.
That was the only.
Events can be different.
So, okay. Have you, last time we discussed, you thinking also about tweaking your business model or whatever, just in case this doesn't work out for you? Have you been looking into
Yeah,
that?
yes.
Okay. It's kind of in bad taste, as you know, to kind of piss in your neighbor's yard, per se. I just don't, if it's online, I don't know why you wouldn't have just gone at least a block away from another vendor. Why skirt it? Why poke the bear? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm sorry, we have asked our customers, like, we've tried to steer them away from coconuts.
Yeah.
But it's a popular area.
Well, you
and
just gotta tell them, I mean, I can't do it.
Yeah.
That's what we've-
And
yeah,
we
that's
can-
what
we
we've
can-
done.
We will from now on, and we've talked about different areas with Tanja that we hopefully would be able to set up on, but we were probably, we were
We've set
far
up,
away
we've set
that
up there
day.
3 times.
I'm gonna chalk this up to, maybe you guys just didn't understand the rules as good, but I don't like to take away something that we've already agreed upon, but I do, if we do vote to go forward and allow you to keep this, I want you to sign an agreement that says we will not be anywhere closer than 1 block away from any other vendor, and you would only have, and your tents cannot be that size, and I still would like you to continue to try to figure out a business model. that will work in the
Is
city.
there a place where we could see the actual beach codes and laws where we could read those?
Well, that's the whole point to having a license.
We have
It's-
what's printed out, but what we were given by Tanja, and we've read through those things, but there's nothing in there that says like really size of tents.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there's.
There is, that's why.
Even I know that, and I don't read all the codes.
That's why I'm saying revoke this till they do actually get a contract. Then they can learn what the rules are, what the code is. Because this isn't even fair. I mean, this shouldn't even be happening. All these other people had to wait to get their licenses, and here we are granting somebody who came from out of town and just wanted to start something. This is totally not fair to our current beach, and the rules are not even known. And this is why you need a license, so that the rules are known, so this kind of conflict does not happen. And that's why I'm saying revoke it till you have the contract, so the rules are known. We don't have all these issues going on, because now it's creating a lot of conflict and bad taste in all the businesses. So that's why I'm saying revoke it. It's only a couple weeks till the hearing for the new contracts. I want to make a motion to revoke this till they actually have a contract for a beach license.
Commissioner Hutchinson, any words on this? And we have a motion on the floor, by the way. Any second?
I have an alternate motion. I have a motion of a notice to comply with the current beach vendor codes, or permission will be revoked for beach trips, and that would stay in effect until the May 18th commission meeting, when we'll make our final decision.
Commissioner, can you add that they could be no closer than 1 block to another vendor?
You know, blocks are pretty big, and the way I've seen the maps where they delineate, there's a lot of gaps between Coconut's property and First Street South, and a lot of gaps between Beach Shack's property and First Street North.
Why put contentious people together?
Well,
This is why you need a
why do
contract.
we let all these people come to the beach on the weekend?
To
Anyway, I
define
made a
where they're
motion.
supposed
Do
to
I have
be,
a
like all
second?
the- like
We
all
don't
the other-
discuss it till you have a second.
All the other beach rental people have to stay in one place. Why do these guys get to move around?
Commissioner Hutchinson, were you second for me?
So let me get this straight. So you're proposing to extend this to May 18th and give a notice to compliance basically for 2 more weeks?
Correct.
I second.
And then we can discuss.
I still like the 1 block. It avoids conflict.
I would agree if you bring it to 1 block. Other than that, I don't.
I mean, the whole purpose was the licenses are worth something. It has a financial intrinsic value. It's hard to get. People want them. I understand the business is mobile, it's online, it's different. Okay, but to your point, Vice Mayor, why, I mean, that's their business. They did this, they had this idea.
These people are doing it legally.
They paid a lot of money.
These
to do
people
it.
are not.
Right, that's.
Okay.
They're gonna have to deal with this.
Let me have a question for the applicant while he's standing there. So, in your space, let's say between Beach Shack North or Coconut South, how many, on any given day, how many of your setups have you put in?
One.
I still,
It sounds like it's different than the beach vendors that are out there now, where they go out there in the morning and they put up, you know, I don't want to say dozens, but at least a dozen umbrellas and chairs, and this guy's got one.
I'm not gonna put two people.
1 10 by 10.
I'm not gonna put two contentious people next to each other. It has to be a one block for me to agree.
Then we all should live on 3-acre lots?
That's fine if they got a license to do that kind of thing, but they don't. Why are we arguing because of that? I mean, the fact is.
This is
they're
a special
operating-
exception.
It's not a special exception.
Well, for
I
time
don't think
being.
a special exception should be granted. I think they should wait till they have their contract, and these kind of questions aren't being argued.
So, Vice Mayor, what you're saying is that you're asking that, which currently isn't delved into the Tanja's, thought process on this, potential permit for this type of business. You're asking her to add that they can't be anywhere within 1 block.
Just for the time being till we figure out what's going on. I don't want to take away what we agreed to give them.
Okay, so you're not telegraphing that
Not
the
forever.
city ad, they can't be within
No.
1 block.
No.
There may be a limitation of you can only have two setups in certain, adjacent to another vendor if you're X amount of feet away or whatever.
I'm not going to limit Tanja I'm not going to
Right,
put,
it sounded
she
like-
could do what she wants
But
on her
by
side.
adding the 1 block thing for 2-week period,
That's to stop a contentious situation. That's not to change different codes that she's working on. That's just in the time being so that they can still operate and they can still be happy.
Okay.
We owe it to them because they've been
Okay.
here. And I'm trying to help them because I feel bad for them.
okay, propose your amendment.
I propose that we allow them to continue.
No, just the amendment to my.
Okay, I propose the amendment that it would be 1 block away from any other vendor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Aye.
Okay.
Discussion, public comment?
You need
City
to
attorney?
vote on the
Oh,
amendment. That was an amendment to
all
it.
right. So need a vote on the amended motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
So 4-1. Now
And then
vote on the
vote on the
main
main
motion.
motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. 2 weeks, right? And we got to sort this out.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. City attorney, item K1.
Okay, item K1, ordinance number 1676, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, amending Appendix B, Land Development Code, Chapter 3, Design Standards, Article 3, Development and Construction, Section 3-35, Temporary and Portable Structures of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cocoa Beach, revising provisions as to mobile food dispensing vehicles by allowing with conditions the use of certain public rights-of-way to dispense frozen prepackaged food, providing for conflicts, codification, severability, and an effective date. Ordinance number 1676 will permit the sale of frozen prepackaged food from mobile food dispensing vehicles within the public right-of-way. The RS1 single-family residential zoning district has been identified as a potential operation area due to the fact that these areas are primarily located within low-density neighborhoods with less traffic and lower speed limits. The stopping time was limited to and I think it should be maximum of 5 minutes to reduce conflicts with the surrounding community.
The planning board heard this item on April 3rd, 2023, and made a recommendation of approval. Representative Tanja McCoy, Development Services Director, recommendation approved.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? I don't know.
I should have said move to approve as read ordinance.
Go ahead.
1676.
Janice Scott, Cocoa Beach. It's not really clear to me what this temporary vending of frozen food, are you referring to the, like, Swan truck or one of those trucks that, or is this relative
Ice
to
cream
the
truck.
ice cream with the little bell that's going to go around? I hope you're going to limit how many times a day it can go by, so it's not like more than once. I have seen these things over the years. They have not generally been successful. But the way that this was worded, it seemed to infer that if you were temporary and portable structures as your truck, they have those trucks that come and deliver steaks and, $600 worth of ice cream, stock up your freezer for 6 months or something. And I was just curious, is that part of that?
Any other public comments? Tanja, did you have a comment?
Yes, this was not intended for any food trucks of that nature. It's strictly for ice cream vending trucks that we were looking at. And I don't know if Becky, did you have any comments for that?
It could be the other, because it's anything that's prepackaged and frozen. So I think we had done it in response to the request for an ice cream truck, but that it would, if somebody were going to go around selling frozen prepackaged steaks.
Which they do already.
I mean, you can get
I
them.
wouldn't buy meat out of a truck, but okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been known to buy $500 worth of meat out of the back of a truck, so.
I got some speakers for you.
I think
too.
this did come up at planning board, and we talked about it, and it came out that those type of trucks usually make an appointment with the customer and go to specific customers' homes, which is why we did not feel that this was the same type of vehicle. Either way, they would be required to get a BTR, and we would have opportunity to discuss what they are going to do when they go on to the city streets.
So I just was curious also, if this is ice cream truck, the music, they're playing music, right, to let people know they're coming through the neighborhood? And are you going to control how loud that is, or whether it's going to be heavy metal music, or what kind of, just going to ring the little bell, ding-a-ling?
Preferably reggae.
Yeah, well, I just am curious because it doesn't say that whether they can have music or not. And the other thing is, relative to the frozen food truck, when they would come, they also solicit other neighbors. So does this BTR include their ability to go and knock on other doors in the neighborhood?
No.
If it's a frozen food, not the ice cream driving by, vending ice cream cones.
Honestly, nobody's supposed to be soliciting, as far as I understand anyways, but I don't care whether they're selling prepackaged steaks or selling ice cream. It's all the same to me. If they're gonna drop steak off at your house, or Amazon's gonna drop a package off at your house, as long as we have a license on hand and they're following our codes, I don't care.
The market will decide. All right. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 We're quite done with discussion, but aye.
Got to be quicker, Commissioner. Sorry. Moving right along. K2.
Okay, consider a proposed large-scale development site plan for 3250 North Atlantic Avenue, Diamond Bay Reserve, in accordance with the Land Development Code requirements. The proposed construction is a multifamily mixed-use development. The project consists of a 20-unit, 5-story residential condominium building, 5 2-story townhouses consisting of 10 units, a residential dock, a swimming pool, a 1-story commercial restaurant. The Planning Board heard this item on April 3rd, 2023, and made a recommendation of approval. Site plan representative, Cocoa Beach Development Partners, LLC, represented by Bruce Moya, MBV Engineering, Inc. Staff representative, Tanja McCoy, Development Services Director. Recommendation, consider.
I move to approve the site plan for Diamond Bay Reserve. Met all the requirements, and we don't have a Mike Miller to rebuke it, so
I second.
move to approve.
Any discussion, public comments? I don't see any cards. Pretty straightforward. This is one of 13% of the town that we are trying to encourage some redevelopment. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Moving right along, K3.
Okay, discuss and provide direction on a utility rate percentage adjustment for fiscal years 2024, 2026. The utility rate assessment prepared by Mead and Hunt dated April 2023 outlines a rate schedule that allows the city to meet the future expenditure requirements of the utility system. The utility system expenses are anticipated to increase due to energy, fuel, chemicals, sludge disposal, insurance, labor costs, material costs, and aging infrastructure. The city's last rate assessment spanned over fiscal years 2019, 2022. No rate increase was incurred in fiscal year 2023. Representative Brad Calzo, Water Reclamation Director, recommendation, provide direction.
I move that discuss providing directions.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, Brad, I don't know if I should ask you this to you or our consultant. We do this routinely. It doesn't, and I really don't want to have to go through all the numbers on all these charts. I appreciate the detailed info. But what is the percentage increase that we're asking for over 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year?
That's kind of why we're here tonight, Commissioner. We wanted to bring and present to you different kind of scenarios. If I had to make a recommendation, I would do a 20-20-20. We're only looking to do 3 years at this time, and then we'll read.
And I'm sorry, would you be able to put that in dollars, percentages?
No, he's got it right here.
Yeah, I know, but I'd like it read for the record. We're going to read percentages. What is the impact dollar-wise to somebody?
We have our engineer with us tonight from Mead and Hunt, Brad Blaze. We have been working with him for the past several months on this, so I will have him step up to the podium and answer some of these questions.
I knew that was coming.
Good evening, Brad Blaze, Mead and Hunt. We can jump right in and get into the spreadsheets and go through them that way, or we can.
I think what he's saying is to the $250,000 homeowner, what would be their yearly increase with the 20% increase?
Right there, if we go to table 12.
I think it's about $400, Skip.
Looking at in year 1, 24, you'd be looking at a 7 for the inside city. That would be about $9 per month for a 5,000 gallon customer. Your average customers are 4,000 to 5,000 gallons a month.
$106.56.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we're going to.
Okay. So you're saying $9 a month, but then the next year it increases another $10.
Correct.
$10.65.
It's 19 over 2 years, and over 3 years, it is gonna be like 35.
Right, and that's this scenario here. We've also done another scenario where you're looking at 2018-18, where you're softening that a bit. But for years 1 and 2, we definitely feel that you, in order to stabilize your rates, because right now your rates are not supporting your operating expenses and your proposed capital expenses. You have a current CIP, a very aggressive CIP that's proposed for this next upcoming year. Part of this rate adjustment also looked at balancing some of those out instead of front-ending some of that work immediately next year, spreading some of that work over a couple more years to balance the effect on your rates. So,
Okay, so this would be a resolution, is that correct, City Manager?
It'll actually be, adopted as an ordinance because you've got rates in here.
But, okay,
Okay, I'm used to ordinance, I apologize. So the city clerk said.
is it a resolution?
Resolution.
It's a resolution.
I'm used
Okay.
to the ordinance.
So
okay.
let's, hypothetically, for the commission, I'm leaning toward the 1818 because I believe with another whole bunch of money getting thrown at the Indian River Lagoon and our astute grant writing people here in the city of Cocoa Beach, look at Wayne just chomping at the bit there to get us some more sewer, work with Brad to get some more sewer grants. That we may be able to pull some money out of that because that's basically one of the contributors to the Indian River Lagoon health. So I wouldn't want to top it out and front load it like Brad and we got two Brads.
you got two Brads.
Brad Squares, we're saying. And then if it doesn't work, if we go 18 for this following year, Telegraph would go 18 after that, and then, what was it?
I actually would like to see, you guys were gonna explain the spreadsheets a little bit. But can you go ahead and do that? I would like to see how your rates, your changing rates correlate with the revenue coming in and the debt and the capital outlay, how they will all correlate. And whatever you guys were planning to kind of finish.
Basically, real quick, when you look at, the initial documents looks back, okay? What has your cost been per 1,000 gallons? Your cost per 1,000 in your 2021 was about $6 per 1,000 gallons treated. Your estimated cost in FY23 when we close that out is going to be almost $10 per 1,000. So you're seeing with really not a lot of capital increase, personnel operating and everything else, you're seeing about a 40% increase over the past 3 years. And you had a minor budget or a minor rate increase 2 years ago, no rate increase last year. So essentially you're losing ground to inflation and to capital expenses and everything else. You're looking at doing some additional budgeting for sewer lining for a lot of capital projects. And so what we're recommending here is in table 11, those capital numbers, that reflects what's in your current proposed CIP. If you flatten that out in the FY24 adjusted column and you spread the same dollars over the course of the next 3 years, it allows you to get cash positive by FY24, and that way you're not pulling out of reserves beyond next year. So that's really where we want to get.
So Brad, you didn't know this a year ago when you let us push through no rate increase? When you, now look at him. That Brad looks at that Brad looks at that Brad.
Now, we tried, we budgeted last year to do a rate study. We just didn't have time to get it done for this.
But you
fiscal year.
think, I would have thought you would have said we need at least a 10% increase based on CPI, but now we're biting it all off in one chunk, and now we're in the hole, is what you're saying, because we didn't think ahead 2 years ago.
The last rate study that was done, I think, was 2019 is the last full-scale rate study that was done.
How does CPI correlate with the increases that you guys suggested in this scenario?
We are budgeting for next year 6.35% for personnel and operating between this year and next year, and then 5% thereafter is what we have budgeted in this particular spreadsheet for years 25 and beyond is 5% per year, which is higher than historical, but lower than what we've seen in the past 3-4 years.
So we really I appreciate the long-term picture, but we only have to make a decision on the FY '24 at this point by resolution, and then we can do this again next year. And we know if we potentially got any more grants, and maybe inflation will be even worse, and we need more than what we'd approved tonight.
Yes, sir.
For 2025. So I'd say we pick the right number tonight
I guess.
by resolution for 2024.
That's your opinion? Yep. I'm going to offer a contrarian opinion. When we go through budget cycle every year, I push for an increase because we're always playing catch-up. This stuff doesn't get better with age. This stuff is old, and we still have 50-year-old clay sewer pipe we got to deal with. It's expensive to deal with it. How does this compare to other cities is what I'd like to know in terms of what they're charging for their rates. I mean, that's apple and apple comparison. I mean, sewage is sewage.
Right here.
That's your comparison. So right now, your ratepayers
We're
inside.
like the lost leader.
So you're 44.39. The average all is 55.74. Your outside customer is 55.47. And these are scenario 2 and 3. This is your 20% scenario, 2020, and this is your 20% and 18%.
Are we the only city that thinks it costs us $20 less, basically, to?
No, that's not rated from the highest cost to the lowest cost.
We're the cheapest. If we bring it up to the 55 or the 20%, then we'll be average. Personally, I don't want to see us go into any more debt, period, whether it be for the city hall or a parking garage or sewer. I feel for my parents because they're older and they don't make a lot of money. But at the end of the day, the difference between 10 or 20% and 18% is $1 to $2 a month more. I think to keep us out of the hole, I hate to do it, but sometimes you have to spend the money to get yourself out of debt. And in order to get us out of further debt in the future, I think we need to do this. Whether it be 20% for 2 years and then figure out what for the next year after that, or just 2020. I like to see that $2 million excess on the one page after 3 years. But
You want to take it out of your pocket, right?
I mean, I don't. But here's the thing. I make more money than most people, so it's not going to hurt me like it's going to hurt some of these residents. And I understand that, you know, for some people, $30 a month is not as easy for them to swallow. So I'm torn between what I would like for our residents and what we need to do for the city. And honestly, if we don't take care of the city, the residents are going to be hurting much more later anyways.
What is 20? Can you plug in numbers like in to these spreadsheets right now?
Yeah, do you have this sheet?
I have that sheet, but I want to see what 25 looks like, just to give us a max. Can you do that on the fly, or is that something?
We say 25, 25, 25.
Yeah, I just want to see what it would do.
While he's doing that, I'll just point out, because I did have a conversation earlier today with several commissioners, and the data was asked of me, so I want to make sure that I just cover that if I may. Projected unrestricted fund balance 2022, which was the audit we just went through, about 8.6 million. If we utilize the funds planned to utilize, that we've got planned in 23, looks like on the spreadsheet, we would end the year with about 4.6 million. Of that, there's typical 17% per operating procedure, which we must keep in our reserves. That's per the operating procedure. So by the end of 23, in essence, your fund balance could be under 5 million in that fund. So you are using fund balance to fund some of the projects. That was the question earlier. And then making sure that if we've got residual basically sitting there, how are we utilizing it going forward, or whether or not it's used to pre-fund some of this increase, or if it's being used for reserve. So best I can say is about 1.6 million is your reserve requirement, as you see in the files here before you, and restricted for debt is about 2.1 million. So the unrestricted funds, so that represents what we would in general fund perspective call fund balance. It is not necessarily called that in a cost base of the net for enterprise funds, but that's the best description I could give you for that.
Hey, Robin, I have a comment. Thanks for bringing that up. So that was my question earlier. The conversation is, I just want to overlay the investable assets position over top of these rate studies, so we know that we're going down to the minimum thresholds we can legally maintain. Because to me, that's the trade-off: is do we want to agree to lower reserves to the legal limit versus a rate increase? Because that's usable money. Obviously, the best use of that dollar is what I want to see. And it sounded like Jay, the gentleman, the investment portfolio manager for the city, was going to speak to that in June. So that was my concern. I'd like to see laid on top of this cash flow problem is what investable assets do we have in that fund balance?
So yes, I did reach out to Patricia's office today to see if we could see if Jay could come for, again, from a financial perspective on that side of the house, if he could come and speak to that. I know Patricia hasn't had a chance to reach out to him yet, but we'll do that as the commissioner asked us to do. Again, we talked about that last, I think one of your more recent meetings, he came in and described a little bit about future users versus current users and how we look at using the funds. So that was all that was asked, and we'll definitely reach out to him to see if he can come in and do that.
Okay, great.
So my last question, and basically we're not going to make a final decision on this. We're just discussing it, and it'll come back either the 18th or at some follow-on meeting.
It'll come on the first for a first reading if you have a discussion. First reading, or resolution. I apologize. I keep going down to ordinance world, so my apologies. So resolution, we bring it back on the first. Again,
On
you
the
could
first, not the May 18th meeting.
not the May 18th,
Okay.
the first.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So for the May 18th meeting, could we get like a brief update? And part of what I would ask is, let's say we went 20% for FY24, 20% for FY25. And the question is, does that hamstring you from planning projects for the long term when you know you only have money plus your reserves past 2025 should a future commission, which 3 seats will be changed, say we don't want to raise rates anymore?
I think implementing the 2020 over the next 2 years is a good decision. I think that allows you to get enough cash flow moving. Another thing that we have not programmed into this is what will the rate increase do to consumption? When people start paying more per month, they possibly will lose less or use less, and that may not allow us to generate the revenue that we're looking at. We're looking at a straight line revenue calculation, assuming that behavior will not change with increased rates. So I think looking at this, doing a 2020 over the next 2 years, that would be my recommendation at this point, and then reevaluate,
Okay.
year by year.
Okay, so for this commission, we're going to be here for this decision for FY 2024. We're going to be here for the next decision for FY 2025, which will be before the election in 2024. So it's our decision both these fiscal years. And I guess I can go, I'd like to get consensus that we go ahead and go with the 20% by resolution for the next 2 years. Give them financial backing to plan for projects that are gonna be good for the city, and go forward with that.
I like that. My only concern is that you guys be respectful with the citizens' money, and not because now that you're going to have more money to work with, that you still, work within the budget and not try to take on more than we can chew.
You're saying they should be frugal.
Be frugal, please.
All right, so Mayor, we need consensus. You looking for consensus, City Manager?
We'd like to have that direction to go forward, so if that's a consensus, then yes, that would be the direction.
2020 and looking at it from there, and certainly seeing what the impacts are from the investment side in terms of using some of those excess liquidity reserves.
Well, and I think also we need to provide you at least a listing of the projects we have to defer. Just, again, I think it's a good practice to show that to the citizens and to you all.
Historical problem.
Yes.
Well, if we're giving them the 2020 they're asking for, we shouldn't be delaying or deferring projects.
Well, you still are, because right now we have planned in '24, 9.7 million, and there's no way we'll be able to completely work on this.
So it goes down to 5.7, right?
It'll go to about 5.7, give or take.
Hey, Commissioner Hutcherson, there's 4 heads up here going up and down. Which way is yours going?
20 seems too much of a round number. I really want to see the investable position, because basically we can buy down that rate if we agree to low reserves. I can go either way. I just would like to understand those details and what options are available besides just bumping up to 20%. Honestly, I'd like to see a little bit smoother spread, because I didn't like the 2020 and then it drop off to 0, because the chances of it rescending to 0 are probably 0 in future years. So I would like to see it smoother. So I would say nod left or right on this one.
Okay, we're just trying to give them something to work with, and they could take what you just stated. Did you catch that, Lori? What do you say? And they'll definitely take what you stated into consideration, and I'd head nod to have them take that into consideration. Nobody else still nodding their head? Okay. Everybody's still nodding their heads up and down based on your recommendation there.
I think, Jeremy, the main thing, Jeremy, is you look at these numbers, and let's keep us out of debt. And I know you're a numbers guy and a money man, and I think you understand that.
Well, it's also the cost of these things. If something fails, it's not cheap to fix a sewer plant. I think skirting the minimum reserves is very dangerous. We need to have a cushion there. If something breaks out there, it's not cheap to fix. That's why we always had healthy.
Quick money's not cheap either.
No, sir.
It could potentially cost us more in the long run if we don't take action now, I believe.
Yeah. So, TBD. And still towards the 2020. I think we got direction.
Thank you.
All right. Any final public comment? Go ahead.
Brad, with the slip lining project, how much, when will that be through? By 2026, 2025? And how much will it reduce the operating load on the wastewater plant from having all that stormwater intrusion?
Talking about the slip lining grant that we just started last week, the contractors are expected to be completed by next April, barring any storm season setbacks, but they will be completed by next year.
So what's the reduction in the amount of load?
It's hard to put a number on it, but it will reduce the amount of water coming into the plant, so it will essentially reduce our operating costs. I can't say significantly or not.
Hey, Brad, you said when we had talked earlier that you have definitely noticed a difference in the amount of pump run.
Some of the areas that have already been slip lined, yes, we have seen lower pump run times at those lift stations. And during the past two hurricanes, those lift stations fared very well.
So are they measured by hour? Do they have an hour meter or?
Hours, yes, correct.
Can you maybe, do you know the difference in hours from now compared to before? I think she's trying to get an answer about what's the difference.
I don't have that with me. I'd have to get back with Ms. Scott.
Okay.
And then so how much do we have left to go, and what is the approximate cost to cure?
So I believe after this project is completed in next April, we'll be about 65 to 70% done. So we still have 30% to go.
So there's still 30% of 50-plus-year-old clay sewer pipe.
About 55 miles, correct.
And that's about how much?
It's about
ballpark.
It's about $1 million for 4 miles in today's dollars.
20 million bucks? Say 5 miles?
55.
4 miles, $1 million.
4 miles.
Yes.
Got it. All right.
How many miles do we have left?
70% of 55. What is?
Okay.
30 something.
All right, so you're telling Wayne that, unless he wants to retire, he's
38.
gotta go get some more grant money?
Wayne doesn't help me with grant money, so
Oh.
it's on me.
I thought he was your mentor.
Come on, be a team
Close to
player,
$10
Wayne.
million, roughly, right? It's a lot of
It's
money.
only going to get worse.
It's only gonna get more
All right,
expensive
that's
the
another
longer we
handout
delay.
to the Sorrel people that are taking all our money.
All right. Last, any other final public comment? Just one thing, I just want to make sure I know sometimes it's very tempting to jump in and comment on something, especially if something's involving attorneys. We really just need to be super careful about what we say, and I'll leave it at that. Other than that, meeting adjourned.